Hi, Elton.
Hi, Whoopi.
I'm here with Elton John. What you just heard was a song called The One, which is one of the hottest songs going right now. It's also the name of your album, and it's also the name of the tour. Now, you say that the best that you could ever write is on this album. Is that right?
The best that I could write at the time.
At the
time. I felt good when I wrote this album. I was happy. I was in a good place.
Right.
And Bernie, who writes the lyrics, was in a good place, too. That made a difference, I think. There have been so many albums where either one of us has been in the dumps, or one of us has been happy, or vice versa. And I had peace of mind when I made this album. And all the other albums in the last few years, I haven't really had that.
Well, I'm glad you got a piece of your mind, honey.
I don't know if I want it. I got it.
We'll be right back. Is there something for you very special about The One?
Lyrically, I think that it's a very spiritual song for me, and I've found, hopefully, the one in my life at the moment. There's certain lyrics, certain parts of that song where it says, each man in his time is Cain until he walks along the beach and sees his future in the water, a long-lost heart within his reach. I've been looking for love all my life. I've always wanted to be loved, and yet when I've been in relationships with people, I've always tended to destroy those relationships or sabotage them by either my own behavior or being so suffocating and so, not jealous maybe, but possessive. And, you know, you have to, I'm just beginning to learn that to be in a relationship with someone, you have to give them their freedom and their own dignity too. And that song, I don't know, it's a very, every time I sing it on stage or I hear it on the radio, it sends a little shiver down my spine because that's exactly where I'm at. This song is exactly where I'm at now. And I can identify with the lyric on it. Some of the songs we've written in the past, it hasn't been about me. I feel this song can apply to me. Yeah. And I think it can also apply to Bernie in his current life as well.
Yeah.
I can't speak for him, but I have a hint that may be going on. So, everybody always wants to be loved, always wants to find that person to love.
Yeah.
Sometimes we look too hard, and sometimes it just happens.
There's a scary lyric. There's a scary lyric in that song about caravans and
drunken nights and dark hotels.
Yeah. And how is that? What is the lyric?
There are caravans we follow, drunken nights in dark hotels, when chances breathe between the silence where
that comes to mind now in talking to you about all the changes. It wasn't written for you, but the lyrics are certainly applicable, which is Goodbye, Norma Jean. You know? You could have been a candle in the wind.
Oh, I think my candle in the wind was going out very quickly, yeah. That, I kind of, you know, the crazy thinking, I kind of fell in love with that. If I kill myself, then nobody will know the real me.
Yeah.
And then I'll be a mystique for years. But then I thought, well, that's ridiculous, because you don't even know who the real you is either. And that, you know, do you want to go out and not finding out why, what you're all about? And that always deterred me. Plus the fact I'm the terminal coward of life. I'm the sort of person that, you know, I did try once to commit suicide. I put my head in a gas oven, but I left the windows open. That's the extent of my bravery.
Just wanted to see what it would...
I just it was a crying. It seemed like a pathetic crying out for love, and I had the love of other people, and I had so much of it, but I just couldn't love myself. And I mean, people would give me all the love I needed, but that wasn't good enough. I wanted more. I wanted more.
You in love?
I'm totally in love. I'm in love. I'm in love with the idea of just noticing everything for change instead of rushing here and there. I still rush places. I've got plenty of energy, but I'm in love. I love learning about myself in this process called recovery, which sometimes is fashionable to knock, but God, if it wasn't for it, I'd be dead by now.
Yeah. You've been very open about your sexuality, much to the chagrin, I'm sure, of many people.
Yeah. It was never a problem for me, I'm talking about. It's one of the few things in my life that was uncomplicated, or it seemed to be uncomplicated. When I said it in Rolling Stone, I did an interview with Cliff Jar in Rolling Stone, who really did a good interview and printed everything verbatim. It was very fair. But it shocked a lot of people. It didn't shock so many people in my country, in England, but over here it did, I think.
Why'd you think it was shocking?
I don't know. I don't think people believed it. I don't think people thought I was the typical homosexual. You know, when people have this bloody idea of, you know, whenever I see a program on gay people on television, it always depresses me because it's always just the one side of gay life. You know, there are lots of us everywhere, folks. But we don't dress, not everyone dresses up and is effeminate. And that's one side of gay life that is always promoted, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But there are lots of different sorts of gay people, and I didn't fit into what people thought was the gay category.
No, well, you got married.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, I thought I'd get married because I was so fed up with all these relationships going wrong. I was so unhappy. I thought, I'll get married to this very lovely lady, and that'll change everything. She'll change the way I am. She'll make me well. She'll make me happy. And of course, what a huge, disastrous mistake and a premise to get married on. It wasn't a very fair premise to her. Well, and she's a very dignified and wonderful lady. I think she knew what she was getting into. She knew that, I mean, she knew my history. You'd have to be a nun in an attic to not know. But she did her best. My idea of trying to be saved was to stay up all night on my wedding night and, you know, doing cocaine. And that was how far I was prepared to change. My behavior in that was, I just thought that if I did different things, that would be great. I'll get married. That'll do it. That'll change. That'll make me happy. And, of course, that was a disaster. Although we did have some really good times together, it was a disaster in the long run.
Right.
Because, of course, I wasn't being honest. I wasn't being honest with and the reasons for me getting married were totally self-centered. It wasn't, you know, am I going to make her happy?
Right.
She's going to save me.
Right.
And it's because she couldn't. I mean, the only person who could save me was me, or by trying to eventually do what I did.
Right.
But... yeah, I think a lot of people thought, God, my God. Well, I had some funny telegrams. So, yeah. No, there's one, you know, I had a record out called I'm Still Standing. One that was like you may be standing, dear, but we're all on the floor. You have to beep that one, too. But that was me at my craziest period, you know. And I regret the pain that I caused her. And I regret... one person in my life that I've never been able to actually say I'm sorry to, because I've been able to say that to a lot of people and do it, and I don't. The time will come. I just have to know when the time is right.
Yeah.
She deserves an apology. She was a great and dignified lady. Still is.
We'll be right back.
You can't do that with such short hands.
Are you mellower? Is it a more mellow Elton John we're seeing?
I'm very, very happy in my life, and I'm very... I suppose I'm a little mellower. What I have is a little bit more self-esteem than I had 3 years ago. My self-esteem was zilch. I think if you stop doing the sort of things you do, that I was doing to myself, you have to feel better about yourself. I do feel at peace with myself, and I feel that I really love living life. And I always had a battle with it before. I was always at odds with something or other. Usually myself, you know, it's that I don't know what it is, but I was born with an addictive personality, and I've had to battle those insecurities all my life, and the things I did to overcompensate the insecurities made me crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Because everyone is talking about the change in you. Bernie sees the change in you.
Well, I haven't turned into the flying nun, but yes, I think, you know, I'm 45 years of age. I can't keep on behaving like I did. I mean, I have a lot of people who love me, and that means a lot. You know, I'm very grateful to be able to show the people who love me that I care about them and I care about myself. I mean, because they cared about me, it seemed that the only person that didn't care about me was myself. And that's pretty sad. You know, you were put on this earth once, maybe, I don't know, and I was throwing that away. It's terrible. I don't know, I just feel very, very, very happy now. I feel as if I died tomorrow, I feel dignified in the way that, I mean, I'm dying sober and I'm dying. I feel proud about myself.
Yeah. What happens to people who attain such heights that makes them want to tear themselves down so much? I'm very cautious about saying, what happens to us when we get up there? But it is something. What turns us on ourselves, do you think? What turns you on to you?
My head's a very dangerous area to live in, as they say sometimes. I can be very self-destructive. I think there's an element of self-destruction in every artist or any creative person. There's a huge area of creativity. There's also a lot of us have that self-destructive. We've got to be kind of crazy to want want all that adoration. And yet a lot of us can't face people on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
That is peculiar. I think you've got to be crazy to want to be a politician. I think you've got to be crazy. You have to have a certain inbuilt craziness to do what we want to do. I mean, as a kid, all I did, because my parents were always kind of at odds with each other, or they weren't there. My mum was always there. My dad was in the Air Force. So I spent a lot of time on my own. I spent a lot of time in my miming to Elvis Presley records, The Wrong Speed, and Jerry Lee Lewis records. I could sing Jerry Lee Lewis's Great Balls of Fire at 78 in perfect sync. And I lived in a fantasy world, and I created my own world. That's kind of a dangerous world to be in sometimes. It's nice to escape into fantasy and have a great imagination, but we do live in a real world. And I think what happened when I became such a big cheese was that for the first few years I just went along with the flow and I enjoyed it tremendously. And then I think I became tired, and I became to look. I wanted to be accepted. I didn't feel accepted. I was fine going on stage and at showbiz parties, but if I went into an ordinary party, I'd hide behind my glasses and I'd have a drink because I was so nervous.
Right.
And I still didn't feel secure within myself because I was successful. The two just didn't go hand in hand. I was successful, but on the other hand, I was still left with the other person who was still meek and mild, very shy and very, very insecure.
So you kept just piling all the stuff on
piled all the clothes, all the glasses, all the excess to cover up. I mean, I used to wear big, I thought, I'll wear something outrageous to cover up the fact that I'm big, physically. Which, of course, if you wear something outrageous, would mean like a mad color or a mad pattern, it makes you look even bigger. I mean, crazy things like that. I overcompensated. I went to the extremes. If someone said, Elton, stop it, I'd say, stop it? You haven't seen anything yet. It was that mad desire and drive, that ego, trying to push people as far as I could. And it's amazing the people that have stuck with me I still have the same manager, the same agent, same personal assistant, who I love dearly. And I get very emotional thinking about it. There are so many people that could have just said, Elton, we're just tired of this. We're off. My behavior was so abysmal and so appalling in certain situations. I mean, it's not normal to ring up and complain to the office at the hotel. The wind outside the hotel is too noisy. But the wind inside the hotel was too noisy too. But it's not funny.
If you were going to define yourself in 2 words today, what would they be?
Very grateful. Yeah, very grateful.
And so are we. That you're still here. We'll be right back. What's the next album going to say about you?
I've got a vague idea that it's going to be very simple and very stark. I'm going to strip it right down. That could change, but that's the instinct, and my instincts are always much better when I'm sober, because the first 5 years of my career, I knew what I was going to do next. And then it became like I just stumble into everything, and here we go again. But I have a leaning towards being simpler and more stark and just more open and naked. And I know that if I do another tour, when I do another tour, it won't be on such a grand scale, and it will be I did a tour in '79, which was just me and a percussion player, Ray Cooper.
Right.
And I want to go back and do that sort of thing again. It's more of a challenge. I feel more vulnerable. When you feel more vulnerable and naked on stage, I think it brings out something more in you. More fear and more adrenaline, more passion. I don't know what, but the longer you go on, the more challenges you need.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll end up like Wayne Newton.
Broke?
Yeah, what is it?
Chapter 11.
Chapter 11, bankruptcy. Chapter 12.
Now, please, $46 million. Well, I'm not
$46 million?
Some ridiculous amount of money like that. But, honey, if you enter into Chapter 11, you can always come and break
Sell your
bread
jewelry.
with me.
Give me good jewelry.
Right. Thanks for coming and
It's
sitting.
been great. Thank you.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.